A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, the gracious, the ever merciful. My name is Numan Hassan, and I'm a resident physician at McMaster University, serving the region of Niagara. I am honored and humbled to be your host tonight. As customary with the Jamaat's traditions, we will start today's program with the recitation of the Holy Quran and translation. For this, I would like to request respected Moiz Ahmed Sahib to please recite the portion of the Holy Quran.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وجعلنا الليل والنهار آيتين فمحونا آية الليل وجعلنا آية النهار مبصرة لتبتغوا فضلا من ربكم ولتعلموا عدد السنين والحساب وكل شيء فصلناه تفصيلا وكل إنسان ألزمناه طائره في عنقه ونخرج له يوم القيامة كتابا يلقاه منشورا اقرأ كتابك كفى بنفسك اليوم عليك حسيبا. I will now present the English translation of Surah Al-Bani Israel, chapter 17, verses 13 to 15. English translation by Hazrat Maulvi Sher Ali Sahib Raziyallahu Ta'ala Anhu. I seek refuge with Allah from Satan the accursed. In the name of Allah, the gracious, the merciful. And we have made the night and the day two signs. And the sign of night we have made dark. And the sign of day we have made sight-giving, that you may seek bounty from your Lord, and that you may know the computation of years and the science of reckoning. And everything we have explained with a detailed explanation. And every man's work have we fastened to his neck, and on the day of resurrection we shall bring out for him a book which he will find wide open. Read thy book. Sufficient is thy own soul this day as reckoner against thee. Jazakallah.
Jazakallah Moiz Bhai. Under the guidance of Hazur Anwar Ayyadullah Ta'ala bin Nasir Aziz, the National Talim Department is excited to bring another topic to our esteemed participants of today's session. As you guys may know, that every month the Talim Department decides on a topic to discuss with the audience and in an effort to guide them in a career path that they can benefit from. Today's topic is data science and machine learning. And I am thankful and Jazakallah to all the esteemed panelists who have joined us today in discussing this for our audience. Before I start with the actual program, I would like to remind the audience that please, as we go along with the program, to please share your questions with us through the Q&A tab on the bottom of your screen via Zoom. And we will, inshallah, try our level best to address all those questions as we go along. Again, we're thankful to our esteemed panel who have joined us today and to all the participants who have taken time out of their daily schedule at this late hour of the day to be with us. To discuss the topic that has astonished me in many ways recently and hopefully develop new ways and paths that we haven't discovered before. So I am excited and I'm hopeful that the panelists are excited themselves to what the future will hold. As we'll begin with an introduction of our panelists, I would request our panelists to keep it brief, but basically the participants are interested in knowing who you are, what you do, and how you came about your journey to do this. To begin with, I'd like to request Mr. Tahir Ahmed Sahib to please introduce yourself.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Jazakallah, Dr. Numan Hassan Sahib, for inviting us in this program. My name is Mirza Tahir Ahmed, as you just said. I am currently working as a research scientist at Epson and working in the area of artificial intelligence, machine learning, computer vision, robotics, and industrial automation. So that's a little brief on my end. I started my career as in the field of computer science, and later on, based on an instruction from Hazur Anwar Jalla Minister Aziz, I decided to do a doctorate degree in the area of computer science. Though during this journey, when I continued, I got a chance to discover different areas. And one of the most exciting area for me was robotics and artificially intelligent robots that can do autonomous operations. So that was kind of a driving force. I recall I was in undergrad and I saw one of our MD student back in Pakistan. He did his final year project, and he made a robot that was following an object by itself. That was very exciting, and that was kind of, you can say, the starting point in this domain. I looked into that, and our MD guy, that friend of mine, is now working as a senior researcher at Apple in US. So the driving force is always an inspiration from some of your seniors, and that was something that came from that guy. And I continued working that area and discovered many new things. Though in Pakistan there was no scope. I did my final project, which was kind of similar, but realized that there is no job after. So people from computer science mostly working in the area of either web development or software development, but robotics, hardware engineering, or that side, this is not for computer scientists. But Allah Ta'ala had its own plan. So I got a scholarship to do my master's and PhD, and then further on in the area of initially, you can say, artificial intelligence, computer vision. There was no deep learning at that time. We were just doing conventional algorithms to automate processes, to learn feature, to do visual compute, basically. And then later on, once I finished my PhD in this domain, there was a big boom of artificial intelligence and deep learning specifically. It's all artificial intelligence, you can say, but deep learning came right after. And then every field was kind of transformed. And of course, to stay in contact or stay up to date with the technology, you need to learn. So then, of course, I moved into this field, and for last 6-7 years, I'm working in this domain, in industry as well as research, and of course, later on in our question and answer sessions and presentation, I'm going to share some of my projects as well. So, Jazakallah.
MashaAllah. Jazakallah to everybody for sharing all these wonderful things that you do. Growing up, I remember in the 90s growing up and having a computer was a luxury. And to what we have, what the world has succeeded in transforming into in artificial intelligence and robotics, that is to be honest, beyond imagination, but obviously someone imagined it. And with Allah's blessings, continue as human nature we continue to develop and advance. So Jazakallah for sharing that. I look forward to, and I'm sure the participants are interested in deep learning and your experiences thus far. Again, I want to remind our participants that if you have any questions or during the program or in regards to the topic that we're discussing today, to please leave your questions in the Q&A panel column that comes under the bottom row on your Zoom screen, and we will inshallah try to address them as we go along. Next, I would like to request Faraz Bhai, if you could please introduce yourself.
Absolutely. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Faraz Ahmed. And currently in my professional life, I'm working as a Chief Technology Officer in a Montreal-based company called Nakisa. And as part of my responsibilities, one department I head is the Department of Machine Learning and Analytics, geared towards data analysis. And the other job I have is in Alhamdulillah in Jamaat as software developer in IT department. I was able to serve Jamaat in that capacity for some time too. So from my background is conventional computer science background. I started with my master's in Punjab University. And I was, I can say, in programming since I was 10 years old, since Visual Basic age. In the beginning, I created a lot of games. When you create games, you need AI. That's a old style AI, brute force, pathfinding, and many other exciting stuff. And that also fascinated me immensely that computers can do all this with such limited resources then. Those are the times when you're talking about 64 MB RAM, right? And 128 MB RAM, like GBs. I mean, that 64 MB RAM is like an out of the universe experience. And then you're trying to squeeze in all the strange data structures, and I won't go into details. And then you build a small game in which a car can actually navigate through a forest or something like that. So that was the exposure to AI. And then in my professional work as well, I was able to, because we work with very large clients with a lot of data. So then machine learning or deep learning, as Tahir Bhai mentioned, came into being in a way, right? So computing power was able to support it. So about a few years ago, I developed keen interest into these fields, mostly on the academic learning side of it. And then Alhamdulillah, by the grace of Allah, I was then able to apply it at my work as well, which is around a different type of intense data analysis using large-scale financial data. Again, I won't take too much time, but that's where I picked up the passion for machine learning too, because it involves some very exciting passion for me, which is mathematics. Like I get to use the crazy math behind it, which is very rewarding in a way. And I think anyone who has an interest towards it, they will enjoy it very well as well. Also, as Tahir Bhai mentioned, it's a transformative, Noman Bhai also mentioned, it's a transformative technology. It's going to be everywhere. So very excited to be part of this panel, and Jazakallah for inviting me as well.
Jazakallah Faraz Bhai for being here tonight with us. I certainly remember the times of a floppy disk. It doesn't exist anymore, but things have moved on pretty quickly. So Jazakallah, we'll look forward to hearing you and your journey as we go on with the program. Next, I would like to request Masaf Daud Sahib to please introduce yourself to myself and the panelists. Jazakallah.
Jazakallah Noman Sahib. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Masaf Daud. I'm part of Burlington Jamaat. So my journey is a little bit more, I'd say, organic and happened during the course of my career. Less exciting and sort of as passionate as Tahir Bhai is Faraz Sahab's. So during my work, I guess we had opportunity to migrate from IBM mainframe. That's sort of mid-90s and then onto the internet. Internet was evolving. So I saw sort of the next generation of client server computing. Then that led to data centers, that led to cloud, and then eventually data analytics and sort of AI. So my experience historically has been on sort of the customer end, sort of the front end, really more applied, more sort of what the market, what the clients are doing, how can we help clients move towards that. But I think as all the esteemed panelists already said, this is the sort of the data age, this is the big data. Big data is getting amplified exponentially every single day, right? So we need better tools, we need better mechanics, we need better sort of harnessing that data, right? Understanding the analytics around it, and logical and traditional software approaches cannot do it. And obviously, hence sort of the next generation of machine learning, neural networks, et cetera, have come into play. And that's why we see the buzz, the excitement, sort of the which has been going on for the last few months. And that's why we think it's a great time to be part of this sort of journey and experience.
Jazakallah Masafai for sharing your journey. And I must say, the excitement is real. We all, we pick up the news and we see ChatGPT, we see neural pathways that everyone wants to talk about. And for an amateur person like myself, who is into medicine and has nothing to do with artificial intelligence and data management, I'm interested. So I can only imagine what you guys on a daily basis go through with all the transformations that are happening. So we look forward to hearing the rest of your journey and your experiences as far as we go along. Last but not least, Moiz Ahmed Saab, Jazakallah for being here. And I now request, please, if you could introduce yourself to the panelists and to the audience.
Numan bhai. My name is Moiz Ahmed. I am actually a recent grad. I graduated about 3 years ago. So I'm fairly new in this field, in my professional career, but also in this field. My path was actually not conventional. I did electrical engineering in university, and I was looking for electrical engineering jobs after I graduated. But at that time, the market was pretty tough and it was hard to find a job in that. So somehow or another, I actually ended up at a company working as a data scientist. And I was working as a data scientist for about 2.5 years. And I had no formal training in data science prior to that because I was in engineering. So the first time I took a programming class, I think was second year university, where we learned some C and some other MATLAB. And then at the end, I took one course in my 4th year in Python for fun. And that just ended up translating and getting me into that, my foot in the door. And then over those 2.5 years, I actually learned a lot of the field, and I did a lot of projects in machine learning and computer vision and some other stuff. Now I've actually switched gears now. So I work as an applications engineer for Siemens EDA. And under the hood, it's all still machine learning and AI. We use that technology in our software to help chip makers. So anyone who makes chips around the world, they use our software that's driven by AI and machine learning to make their chips better and faster, and and that's what we see into the latest phones and the latest laptops and everything. So that's kind of my journey.
MashaAllah, Jazakallah Moiz bhai for sharing your journey. Glad to see that we have younger people joining the field, and then you could be a role model for future generation to come. We will move on to our next thing on the agenda, which is a beautiful presentation that Dr. Tahir Ahmed Sahib has prepared for us on him sharing his personal or experiences on deep learning. And I hope that the audience will benefit from it. I again request our audience to please keep sending in your questions through the Q&A tab at the bottom of the Zoom link, and inshallah, we will try to answer all these questions as we go along for tonight's program. I now request Dr. Sahib to please present. Jazakallah.
So if you can see my screen, please let me know. Is it okay?
Yeah, we see it.
So
Yeah, all good.
I see some shake of heads. So first of all, I just want to bring into attention that my seniors are sitting in the panelists, And I learned a lot from Faraz Bhai and Masaf Bhai. So anytime you feel like you want to tell me this is not how it is, go ahead, please. So I'm gonna present on artificial intelligence and data science. Though data science is something we'll hear more from the panelists, I work at Epson as research scientist. So let's start with something which is actually a transformation. So if we go back in history, our ancestors or their ancestors, there was an era of raw data, how to collect information, how to get something from where we can extract information, like books. You go there, you search for books, you need data to then transform into information and then do some processing. For ourselves, for their generation, this was one of the hard part, to collect the data itself. And then there was a new era came, the next era came, which were more of information era. I'm looking for something, I just go on Google, I type there, and I get information. And then I get so many URLs, I go to them, look into it, and find out exactly what I need as my knowledge to improve my knowledge. And now we are right now sitting in an era which is knowledge era. You write a single statement, and exactly what you need, it gives you only that part of information that is easier to grab, that saves a lot of time. I was talking to our National Talim, Dr. Tosif Saab, and he said, I saved huge amount of time. When I write a paper, I need to spend 2 to 3 hours sometime day, and now it is getting into within minutes time. And this is with the knowledge, and we'll go deeper into this subject. But before getting into jumping into machine learning, artificial intelligence, or talking more about this part, one thing I want to clarify: what is this AI, ML, DL, DS kind of words which we hear, buzzwords, and we get attracted to them? What is the meaning and what is the relationship between them? So it's very important to understand this itself, and then it will make our life easier. Okay, what are the complications, or you can say significance in these words? So first thing is AI. AI is artificial intelligence. And as you can see on my screen, AI refers to any system or any machine that can perform tasks that would require normally like human intelligence. And if I go deeper into this part, understanding of language, recognizing some objects, making some kind of decisions, that is AI. And Faraz mentioned in game development, we want you to be interactive on your behavior. System performs differently and makes the entire thing in a challenge is something that we can say, okay, based on my response, it is doing something. The next thing is ML, which is, you can say, a subset of artificial intelligence. And ML, machine learning, is actually we provide some data to machine so that machine can learn from that data and respond to us in a way that it's a program. So we previously, both of us, me and Faraz Bhai, we mentioned one word: conventional programming. What was conventional programming? You give an input and you want a specific output, you need to write a program. Now things are changing. You give an input and tell what I need as an output, or you give that this should be the output. Where the program will come, that is machine's job, and that is where ML comes. And then we talk about deep learning. Deep learning is a further, you can say, subset of machine learning. And in deep learning, the idea is actually it's inspired by human brain, how these neuron works, how the architecture is within, though they are way far, and it's human brain structure is so complex. We have a medical doctor sitting among us. If we'll say we took that part, this is not how it is. It's so complicated. So this is just an inspiration. That structure has some similarity, but way simple in nature, doing so many good things. We'll see later. In deep learning, actually, DL algorithms are particularly effective on the task of images and speech recognition and many other things we'll see in the upcoming slides. Data science, a slightly different thing. It is itself is a big field, because when I talk about the last two things, ML and DL, they are data driven. And one simple statement about machine learning is that good data in, good data out. If your data is not fine-tuned, machine learning algorithms will never work. So that's why data scientists are always required to collect data, to maintain data, to remove anomalies, redundancies, and all these things to make sure that when this data is provided to a machine, it is helpful in learning. Now let's move forward and let's see some of the exciting projects of machine learning, deep learning AI. This is, I think, very common. We all know Tesla self-driving, though it is not, still we are waiting for autonomous vehicles to come. But you know, the limiting factor is we as human beings, because there can be any abnormal activity that can happen and will cause them to fail. So this is an area where research is happening on a very high budgeted scale throughout the world. You see on the right side on this image, left rearward camera, vehicle camera, median camera. There are many cameras, many sensors are there. Sensor few are there, and you see that objects are recognized. Road tracks are recognized. These all are driven by one way or the other. Deep learning algorithms are happening. They are learning scenes, scenarios, and trying to make sure that the vehicle is intelligent enough to deal with them. I go to the next one, which is augmented reality. This is another interesting part. You see there's a map on the paper, and on the computer, on the tablet, we see the 3D map. Now, what is happening here? It is, first of all, having learning the features of the map and then transforming it into a 3D structure, which it could be. So there is a learning process done prior here, and we are now showing it on the tablet. This is one of the area where I have worked myself in Epson to work on augmented reality glasses and phone handheld devices. So next is another interesting area of auto mapping of environment. Now, there are many applications, and one of the application I will show later, that you, with the swipe of camera, you are making the entire map, which is metric scale map. Like we can understand the dimensions of the object sitting in the environment. And this is very helpful to understand the location. Like as human beings, when we go into a new environment, we try to learn the feature. And this is exactly what machine is trying to do in this case. Now let's do the next one, which is object detection and identification. You see how cluttered the scene is, how many objects are there. But machine learning algorithm is actually able to identify vehicles, identify pedestrians, identify different shops and labels we can see there. And there is huge amount of training done on these algorithms to detect all these things. Now go to the next one, which is also very interesting, and there can be many applications: face detection and recognition. We got the face, we analyze the features, compare faces, and then we find out Will Ferrell is there. So I remember Faraz bhai, and we did a small project on this part as well to detect faces. Okay, so let's go to the next one, biometrics. This is another area of deep learning. Security. And you know, this girl, which is in the magazine cover page, was recognized after, I think, 17 years, just because of her iris was detected in an image. So so this is biometric, where our patterns do not change, thumbnails do not change, and we can recognize a person. So this is again from the area of deep learning, machine learning, conventional image processing as well. The next, optical character recognition. I don't want to go deeper into it. We all know that now you can just plug in a PDF and say, run OCR and get the editable file. So now this is another project which is interesting. It has two parts. One is actually a robot playing a game, and the second part is augmented reality. This is what I was done in my lab when I was doing PhD. Some of our graduate students who are working on this project. So you see this robot is now playing pool, and it was quite accurate. So I'm not gonna take too much time here, just to show a few shots it will play, and then I will jump to the other part, which is augmented reality. The first part was robot playing with human, and the second part is it is training human. So you see, this is augmented reality, that on the real pool table, it is helping you out that how if you place a stick, it will guide you how to hit, and that's augmented reality pool. So just want to show you one or two shots. So now it is helping you that how you can make the best possible shot. Of course, there is a lot of physics involved behind the scene, and mathematics is like a main ingredient. So let's move forward, and I want to talk about another project, which is actually one of my publication as well in 2015. This is the work of indoor GPS, global positioning system. We all know we have it in our phones and we use it for traveling. But inside, when there is no line of sight with the satellite, this is one of the challenging area, that in big malls, in hospitals, in areas where people have to move around, they don't have any tracking system where it can tell them where you are live. So we developed this thing in Queen's University as part of my PhD work, that you see this red dot is actually giving you your location within an environment. And we are moving with a single camera in hand, or you can have that camera on your cap, and you are moving in the environment, and it is on your cell phone giving you your location. Where are you in the 3D environment and inside a building? So let's go to the next one. Now we'll talk about something our National Secretary of Talim is very interested. In fact, you all will be interested when you will see the power of this ChatGPT thing. This is just a GIF file I'm showing you, and I will show you some of the real experiments which I was sitting with Sexa when we did. Now you just the person, as we said, this is knowledge era. Just a single statement written here, that I need to know about customer success for a customer success manager, capture some details of the customer and what is the next step. And system has drive entire points that, okay, customer background and industry, you must know goals and objectives and current pain points and challenges, previous solutions attempted and whatnot. And it gave you all the details, and it's not about just one field. I just want to show you another example. How to merge dictionaries in Python, same platform, and you just wrote this thing, and it is giving you the code example. Okay, take dictionary 1, dictionary 2, and you can do this job. Before moving forward, Secretary Saab told me to share some other aspects of this as well. So I'm going to open my chat GPT, which is here. So I was talking to him, and I wrote a class in C++. For the, now see the question, write an AI class for object detection in C++. Now system, I'm pretty sure many of you who are listening will be from the area of computer science or have some understanding what class is. It's a structure. So we write a programming language, code in it sometimes. So it gave me the entire class of how to detect objects. And then Secretary Saab told me to write that I am a teacher of grade 9, give me lesson plan for AI along with practical examples. And you see, it gave me many examples. It gave me the entire course plan and whatnot. Then there were a couple of more things. Med school interview question. We knew we have a med guy, so we'll say, okay, well, let us show him that what interview questions we got in preparation here. So I have an interview for admission to a med school. Please give me 5 tough interview questions and give and provide answers from a very competent candidate. So it gave me 5 different questions and their answers as well. So now you can understand that where we are heading now. This is the era of not only just information, but knowledge as well. So let me just open it up here. And next, I just want to explain you a little bit deeper into machine learning. Machine learning is actually divided into 3 subcategories or sub-level of learning. One is called supervised learning. Supervised learning is actually task-driven, that you will tell, I want this kind of response. And the algorithms will learn and give you responses from the data it will get. And I will show you some examples. Unsupervised learning is where you don't have enough knowledge of what are the possible outcomes, and you ask a learning algorithm to segregate the data or cluster them into different segments based on its own features. And this is what we'll see later. And the most dangerous but most interesting as well is reinforcement learning. When you ask a robot that I need to perform this task, you learn by yourself, but I need my results. and robot will learn and do its correction. And over the period of time, like we human being, if my boss is not happy with one of my presentation, and I know what is the point, then next time I will never present that point to him. And if I know that, okay, with this direction, he's very happy, I will jump more into that direction to make sure that my boss is happy. So again, we had a long discussion today. Secretary Saab will share his thoughts as well. So let me show you supervised learning. In a deep learning algorithm network, which you can see here, we have to train it with many inputs of images. And for each image, we have to tell what is the object. And with this training of thousands of images, or in fact, 100,000 of images, you will see that these nodes, which are represented here on the layers, they will train in such a way that when you will provide a random image with any of the object, it will give you the classification, okay, this is a dog. And this is what we see, that the power of deep learning is that we are just telling input and label. And these weights of these nodes, or the algorithm itself, is structured by itself. There can be many different things in it. It may be something else. Classification of pedestrians, detection of pedestrians from animals or cars or whatnot. So input and output labels can be anything. And the network will learn from the features in the images and will give you a response like that. That is supervised learning, that we know the label dog. Now let's see the next one, which is unsupervised. We have data of some people who are very happy, some are sad, some are angry, but based on their features, we distributed them into, we made a plot for them. Now, of course, happy people have similar features and sad people have somewhat similarity, and similarly angry are on this side. This guy is angry and sad as well, so they put it on the left side. But what our algorithm will do, based on the feature, based on this reduced dimensions, it will give us clusters. Okay, this is one cluster of people, this is another cluster, and there is another. The example is much more easier, that we have an unsupervised machine learning algorithm. We give data of dogs and cats, and at the end of the day, it groups them separately. Cats are on one side, dogs are on the other side, and we don't know whether this label is of cats or dogs, because this is unsupervised. We don't have information about that part. Now let's go to the interesting thing. I hope this will run. Okay. So in the meanwhile, I try to run it. Let me explain this part. This reinforcement learning is actually just like a newborn. And newborn is actually responding to the behavior of the environment. When he or she cries, her parents or nurse around the newborn respond. And then he feels, okay, this is something, when I will do this act, there will be a response. And as the kids are growing older, when they become naughty or do something that is not good, then they get penalized by the parents. And then next time they say, okay, if we have to do the same thing, we'll not do in front of parents, or we'll come otherwise. So this is the algorithm is behind, the main algorithm is actually followed this principle, that an agent, which I just said can be a child or robot, it will performing an action and looking at the environment, that how environment reacted, whether environment gave it a reward, that it is good action, or it gave a penalty, no, it's not good. And based on that, this agent, which is robot, in its next state, trying to optimize its own operation. And over the period of time, it becomes so good that that sometimes it surpasses what we normally do. Let me show you something here in this slide. This is an example of reinforcement learning, that we want this robot to flip the pancake. Now, with the help of this human demonstration, he is telling the robot, okay, this kind of action need to be performed, and this will flip the pancake. Now, you will notice that robot will, the first trial, and robot did it, and it didn't flip. In the second or third trial, robot tried to flip it, or it went out. And then it continued to do these trials, and it's not working well. But let me move forward and go to the last one. And you will see here that after certain tries, 50 trials, now it is successful. Now do whatever you want to do, it will be successful because it has learned all the possible ways of flipping the fan by itself. Nothing was provided, nothing else was provided. And this is the power of reinforcement learning, that every movement was a reward for it, whether it was a success or a failure, or a level of reward as well, how much good it was or how much bad it was, and it has learned itself. Now I will conclude my presentation with a couple of things here. Just want to say that there are many fields. I just mentioned few of them, and of course, if you jump into any field, you will find so much vast input of AI in it that we cannot cover it in this seminar. So healthcare, I was when I was studying in this area, I studied one of the case study where skin cancer melanoma was they collected 70 I think 100,000 images of melanoma and trained a machine learning algorithm to detect whether it's a cancer or it's not a cancer. And the top expert of Georgia Tech were sitting there, dermatologists, to detect that. And you know, the success rate was very different. The top experts got 65% correct, and AI got 71% correct. So this is how healthcare is going to change. Diagnostic, drug development, personalized medicine, many other things that we will notice that are already there and will come more and more in the field of healthcare. If we talk about finance, one of the major things which we see in finance industry is that fraud detection, patterns, because what in a sense, or if you see the principle of machine learning or this computer generated AI or deep learning, it is actually learning the patterns. So patterns are detected, risk assessment can be done, portfolio management can be done in our finance. Education, there is a lot of enhancement going on in that part as well. Personalized learning experiences, automating administrative tasks, and many other things are happening in that area. Then self-driving cars or transportation. The entire industry is getting optimized in its functionality. We have self-driving cars, which are not only just for driving purposes to make the driving experience optimized, but also fuel economic as well. And then manufacturing, we can talk more and more on this part or any part of it. But I want to end my presentation with some questions and a brief answer, because I know my panelists will answer them better than me. So what is the future of AI? We just talked about it. Is it going to take over human? There is still huge gap. Bits and pieces, we are doing so well in that area, but coming with something that will take every side of us is not possible, because it is trained by us. If data is not good, it cannot perform operation. We still can. Will AI reduce the job market? That's also a no side from my end. The reason behind, when Wheel was invited, those who were loading on their back, they got new jobs. So you will get new jobs. The only thing we have to do is to stay updated with the technology. Should you be in this field? That's also the answer to this question is that you will be in this field no matter what. Because even if you are an engineer, or if you are not an engineer, you still be getting benefit from it as far as you stay yourself updated. So how can it help Jamaat? I think Faraz bhai can help us. So many automation he is doing for Jamaat and many other people. So in fact, all the technology that is being developed, it can help Jamaat, and it is helping Jamaat big time. So Jazakallah for giving me a chance to present. And of course, now over to you, Noman bhai.
Jazakallah, Dr. Saab. That was, I have no words to explain what you have shown us. I thought it was interesting. It was astonishing. It's exciting yet scary. And you've discussed why it's scary and why would it make us feel uncomfortable. But before I go in discussing this further, I think I made a mistake in not introducing Secretary Talim Saab. I don't think he's going to call me back for the next program if I continue without introducing him. So my apologies, Secretary Sab, if you don't mind introducing yourself, and if you can tell the audience what you do, we would be excited to hear.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Tausif Khan. I'm serving as the National Secretary Talim. I'm kind of part of the panelists, but I'm not an AI expert nor a deep learning expert. However, I'm a heavy user. I've started using ChatGPT very heavily in the past month or so, and it has really helped me. So I think I might have some insight regarding research because I'm a research associate at the University of Toronto. And I do research on honey and sugars and chronic disease. So if it improves or increases the efficiency of research, I'm really interested in it. Jazakallah.
Jazakallah, Secretary Sab, for sharing that. In fact, there's not a day that goes by when I don't see a message from Secretary Sab talking about ChatGPT and its benefits. So it goes to show the positive outcomes of technology that could be used as a tool in any field, whether it's medicine, engineering, or automation, transportation. I feel like it's endless and limitless in one way. I would like to remind the audience once again that if you have questions, please continue to send them in via the question and answer panel tab on the bottom of the Zoom platform, and not the chat box. The chat box is not being answered, but the questions that are coming through the Q&A will inshallah be answered as we go along. Before I go any further and start answering the questions that the audience is asking us, I have a few questions that I have prepared, or we have prepared in general, to answer the theme that we are discussing today. Keeping in mind that our objective for today is to educate our participants and ignite the fire who are undecided in terms of what they want to do or are looking for a second career. I think we are here to provide that platform so they can ask questions, and hopefully in the future we can guide them in going to this field. I would like to ask a question to begin with. I'll kindly request Masaf Daud Sahib if he could shed some light on how someone can go into artificial intelligence, machine learning, or data science. I bunched all of it together. So it's a heavy question for you, Masaf bhai.
Thank you, Numan bhai. I think Tahir Saab answered that in a way, but I'll kind of share my point of view. So, I mean, there's a couple of paths, right? The short answer is it depends. If you are an undergrad or somebody who's thinking of going to school, I think mathematics, computer science is sort of the logical pathway to move in that direction and make that part of your journey. If you're an existing professional looking to pivot, there are options and opportunities because of the demand or unmet demand to take courses and certifications like Coursera, Udemy, and there's others like that. The third option is, if you are neither of those or in between, you can also go for a cloud certification. So if you think about the world, it's divided into three hyperscalers, right? At the end of the day, they own AI, they own ML, they own all the compute in the world, right? And that does not include IBM. So Google, Microsoft, and Amazon, right? Very simply put it, right? 80-90% of the world's compute power, minus the US government labs, is owned here, right? So if you get certification in any one of those platforms, and within them, there are various services around data, ETL, database, machine learning, vision AI, document AI, lot of sort of diversification. That's another path that can help you get into sort of this modern AI data ML space, right? I think, and then obviously with experience, if you are a career professional, you have a certain existing interest, like Tahir Saab said, you cannot escape it. You're already benefiting from it. Obviously, you need to do a little bit more, focused search in a particular tool set, a platform, or an ecosystem, right? Because at the end of the day, even in AI ML, while things are open source, they're ecosystems, right? Or ecosystems are emerging. So you have to specialize or at least get familiar with one or two ecosystems, and then that would give you a path. But I mean, the short answer is, as Secretary Talim Tausif Saab has asked us to present here, the thing is there's a big need out there. There's a huge unmet demand. This demand is going to grow and grow and explode, right? With ChatGPT and other things. There's not enough people in the world today who understand it. There's not enough people in the world today who understand the mathematics behind it, like Tahir Saab, Faraz Saab, and Moiz Saab, right? There's not enough doctors who can leverage it because there's not enough product out there for them to leverage. Somebody like Noman Bhai could use that, right, to improve the quality of diagnostics, post-clinical, preclinical medicine, like all kinds of things, right? You can do, but there's not enough people to develop the end use cases. So I think that's where the big need is, big market is, big potential opportunities.
Jazakallah Mr. Bhai. So what I understand is that for someone to go into, so if someone's in high school and they're deciding on what to do in university, that they should go in computer science as a general topic, and then they could subspecialize. Or is there another route, or is there another way of going about this? Maybe Tahir Bhai, if you want to shed some light on this, on what guidance would you give to a high school student who is looking to go into university as to what they should do?
Yeah, so I think quite a bit covered, but I just want to highlight that one of the prerequisite for deep learning or machine learning is that you must have some understanding of mathematics. It requires your math skills. It requires your programming skills as well to some extent. But mathematics is something that is required. Though with this advent, as we have noticed that now you have to give an input and output, and the rest of the things will done by machine learning. I have already noticed that our young generation, many of I got a chance to interview many co-ops in University of Toronto, and I noticed that they like write big things in their resume about deep learning. And when you start asking them, okay, what did you do there and there? What are the deep things in that area? So you realize, okay, they use libraries and they were able to run code. So this is also there. It depends on what you want to achieve, because as if you are only capable of using libraries and performing some operations, still you will be able to execute something. But to master something, to make sure that you are a contributor, you need to understand deeply, and for that you need to have core understanding of mathematics and logic, programming. All these things are required, especially differential and deep mathematics. On that part, you need to understand there are a couple of specific subjects which requires stochastic understanding of things, probability, and all these are kind of prerequisites to understand how things are happening. I think Faraz Bhai can also contribute. He was a teacher, lecturer, as well as he is a pro in the domain.
MashaAllah. I think Faraz Bhai, if you can, so what I understand is that, so are these subjects taught during university, undergraduate degree in computer science? And once they finish a degree in computer science, do they go directly into the job market, or do they need to do masters or PhD or subspecialize or do specific programs? If someone can shed light on that, that would be beneficial to our audience.
Yeah, I can try to help. So just to iterate on a couple of very important things Masaf Bhai and Tahir Bhai mentioned. We're talking about AI and ML and data science. Holistically, this is science, if you try to categorize it, which means that excelling in it is same as excelling in being an electrical engineer, being a mechanical engineer, or being a computer scientist. One of the prerequisite of being good in this field is to be good in fundamentals, and those fundamentals are same in all sciences. These are mathematics, statistics is a plus, and all the things that come about critical thinking, problem solving, and so on and so forth, right? So this is a field which is very much focused on being a scientist or being an engineer. It's a very structured engineering field. As a result, there's no shortcut. And I just want to make sure that many people see that, oh, because machine learning is on top of the game, how can we quickly get there? Fortunately, I won't say unfortunately, fortunately, there is no shortcut. It actually requires us to understand and learn and then get there. Just like learning to ride the bicycle, there are two components. You need to learn how bicycle works, and then you need to practice a lot. In all engineering and sciences discipline, I think we have very capable people here. They all can attest that without practice, there's zero outcome. I can teach someone that how to swim. You put your right hand up and the left leg down and this and that. You go into the swimming pool, none of it will work unless you actually learn to swim. So one of the advice to all the youngsters who want to get in there is don't remain, because this whole era of information, as Tahir Bhai was mentioning, YouTube shorts, 5 minutes YouTube videos and small articles that are only 2 paragraphs, they have hardwired us towards not putting an effort in practice. So my humble request and advice will be, if it is not hard and you're not feeling the pain, you won't get there, right? So one of the indication for the youngsters to assess their success is that, are they feeling the pain? Are they getting overwhelmed? Which means that you need to get your math right. You need to get your critical thinking right. You need to pay attention to your teachers. You need to pay attention to all the capable people who are trying to make you successful. And then there will come a time you will see it very clearly what to do to be successful. But in a nutshell, math is a must. Logic or analytical thinking, which revolves around some of the mathematics branch as well. Statistics is very important. If you do some courses in statistics, that's going to come in very handy eventually. Differential calculus, gradient descents, the famous things are coming. To pay attention to those fundamentals. Don't try to make shortcuts to say that, okay, if I pass this course, will I be able to get a job? It's not about that. Masaf Saab and Tahir Saab, they can all, everyone here can easily attest that when you get into the field, what really matters is your understanding of what you learn and why you learned it. If you just memorize things and try to pass things over, it won't work. Sorry, I'm just taking a bit more time, but my advice would be to focus on the fundamentals. If you want to go into into machine learning, pay attention to math, pay attention to statistics, pay attention to logic and reasoning and problem solving. And one thing I can tell, it's not scary. It's very exciting. It's so exciting that sometimes you forget, is it night or day? You get to do amazing things. So it's very rewarding as well, right? So that would be my 2 cents.
Jazakallah Faraz Bhai, just for the record, I think during university, the 2 subjects I did not enjoy was calculus and statistics. I found them to be absolutely difficult, but I'm glad you are there and more people are willing to do this and I don't have to do it. Working on what Tahir Bhai initially said before, that you do a lot of Jamaat, you serve the Jamaat quite a bit in automation and machine learning. If this is an open question, so anyone can answer, but just because I know Tahir Bhai had mentioned it. So how can someone who goes into AI or machine learning, how can they serve Jamaat? If you can shed some light on that.
If you said, so I can go, okay, so for sure. This is, so for example, I can set try to explain a couple of things. If you look at the presentation that Tahir Bhai mentioned, he mentioned a couple of fields, couple of areas, right? Let's start with, say, finance. We all know that Jamaat's financial system is one of the top-notch financial systems in the world. I work in an organization that builds financial applications, so I'm telling it from experience. By selling software to very large companies like Walmart, like Nestle, like Air France, that our Jamaat's financial system is superior in form of its tracking, in form of its overall view of things. For example, there's no concept of a mean in any other system we have. And if you only dwell on the fact that what does a mean as an office holder does, you get baffled by how many problems only that one thing solves. So how does it relate to AI? This means that our Jamaat system, financial system, generates tremendous amount of data. We have, if you go to donation portal like amjinc.ca and try to click on once more, you'll see a plethora of lists of donation you can donate into. So this means that the type of data, financial data that is generated in Jamaat is a lot. And this is the perfect place for AI to play. What can it do there? For example, you can actually write an AI algorithm that can detect that someone entered their member code wrong. You can actually write an AI algorithm to detect that this person forgot to pay this month but they pay every month. So maybe I can send them a reminder. You can help the National Secretary Amal to say that, okay, these type of initiatives resulted in these type of Chanda Jat to be more effective in this type of situations. So there's such a multi-dimensional analysis, and maybe Moise can also explain, because he's doing the data science, that where there is a lot of data, that's where the AI plants are being stemmed all over the place. Then we have assets in Jamaat. Jamaat, mashallah, alhamdulillah, has a lot of assets, which has buildings, we have equipment, we have so much all over the world. You can write an AI algorithm to assess that when the next forklift will be going for repairs by tracking its historical performance. You can do so much. You can actually help with the vendor selection. You can say that, okay, when we buy laptops from this vendor, they last longer, right? So there are so many implications. And as Masab Bhai mentioned, that there are not enough people. I'm telling you, there are not enough people who can do this because we have so many opportunities. Tahir Bhai mentioned about gatherings, like he was showing a video where AI was recognizing people and places. Imagine I don't know if any one of you have served in the organization of Jalsa Salana. One of the biggest worry Afsar Sahab Jalsa Salana has, that how many people I need to feed this afternoon, right? It's a big event of things. Sometimes maybe you can ask him that how do they figure out? AI can help big time by analyzing everything and say, okay, these many females, these many males, these many kids, and so on and so forth. AI can go as far as say that we have that many non-Pakistani people, so don't make spicy food, and make this much non-spicy food, right? So it can help in like this is a large gathering. When you enter in masjid, it can actually scan you to see that if you're a Jamaat member. If not, it can notify Rabbi Sahab can come in and help. There are endless possibilities there. So there are a few that I mentioned.
So are you saying that we are heading in that direction where I'm going to go to Jalsa Salana and I'm not going to have to stand in security line, and I'm just going to walk in and the AI intelligence would know that I'm there and automatically register me?
Inshallah.
This is not a good question to ask. I just
Inshallah. I mean, that's what you asked, that how can we help Jamaat with that? I'm telling you that with the right intentions, possibilities are endless.
Yes.
Give us, I'm telling you, give us, me and Tahir Bhai and Masab Bhai, maybe Moise, like 10 more minutes and you'll be overwhelmed with ideas, because the implications are endless. It's big.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So it was just a hypothetical situation that I created in my mind. Doesn't need to be a reality by any means at this time.
I can tell you that you will notice that soon surgeries will be done by robots.
You know, this is an interesting point. We were just having a discussion yesterday, and the surgeons were standing and having discussion. They were more worried about radiologists losing their job at the first place, because diagnostic power, we know that AI intelligence is able to recognize or diagnose chest X-rays better than a human radiologist can. So that is something on our mind. Well, although we believe that the fine motor skills are and the data and the systems are not there to replace us yet. It's still some time, but inshallah, that is something what the future holds and something that we need to think about.
Yeah, agree to some extent.
I'm sure there'll be new jobs open
Absolutely. I mean, job market is not gonna get suffered.
I just hope it doesn't happen in my. There just be more new opportunities. I'm assuming that will open. with time.
As we say in industry, it's not job elimination, it's job elevation. So you can start getting a lot more in need and demand than before.
Jazakallah. There are a lot of questions that are coming in, and I think we're getting overwhelmed. Jazakallah to the audience who is actively paying attention. One of the questions I see again and again, and I think that's more, people want to know what is the pay, or how much can you make? What is the pay range of what you're looking at in this demand, is this field full of demand? It's an open question, anyone can answer.
So the pay scale in this area is quite vast, depending upon your experience. You come into industry, it is quite rewarding. The good thing right now is that there is huge job security. You are in this, that's very important, even important than pay, that you are expert in this area. People are right now crazy. Your LinkedIn profile will be filled by recruiters. In fact, many CEOs of other companies, they contact you directly. Okay, I'm looking for an AI expert. If you want to join. So I recall since the time of education when I was in Queens, our LinkedIn, these jobs means for myself, both jobs I got or the time with the passage of time, it was all coming by itself. I never applied. So that is something for pay itself. I think Faraz, if you want to highlight on this part, he's hiring so many deep learning experts in his company. So if you are interested, you can apply there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Fundamentally, what happens is that this is a high demand field. One of the very important thing, and of course, whenever we go towards it, one of the recipe of success was actually given to us by Khalifa Masih Sani by saying that if someone gives you a work of $10 as an Ahmadi, we do work of $12. We never keep anything to ourselves. We always give, we never take. So that is the key spirit of everything. But this is a lucrative field. That's why many people are coming in. That's why competition is high too. But you can easily survive if you have your fundamentals right and you are focused and dedicated to your employer in a way that your focus is to bring the best value for them. And that way you can actually, as Taiba mentioned, the pay grade goes from 50K to 400K, right? It's a very vast thing. It depends on how much can you yield, and there's a lot you can yield. So normally you would see that as a junior person, you start up low, but then you go in and you prove yourself, and then sky is the limit after.
I'm afraid you're going to start convincing people from medicine to go into AI and machine learning, because you're certainly making more than us.
I mean, right now by the way, yeah, that's actually maybe a side thing. Never work for money. I think that's a very good. Everyone would agree that more you would work for money, less you will enjoy it. It doesn't matter. I think easier said than done, because if you will be chasing after the money, even if you get it, AI algorithms show, by the way, that your level of satisfaction will never reach a level where you'll be happy. This is after basically you need to look into the value that you're giving. Personally, I would work on half the salary in a place where I can save people's life versus a place where we're building games, right? So, I mean, you really need to see, when you look back at yourself when you're old, would you regret it or not? That's a very important component in choosing what you do. For that, medicine wins, right? So all the time.
I could not agree more. I think that if I didn't feel the urge, happy or satisfaction of going to work every day, I would not be able to put up with such a stressful environment. So that is for sure. I don't think no money can buy my sleep and my my piece. We have another good question from the audience is, how can we introduce AI to our young kids and help them learn AI or machine learning at an early age? For Fadl Ahmadi or Nasrat, how can we do that? If someone has ideas, platforms that they're willing to share, that would be appreciated. Did I cut off?
No, you're on. I
Okay.
think we're not giving enough time to Masaf Bhai
And Moise bhai.
or Moise.
Anyone can answer. Masaf Bhai, Moise Bhai.
Yeah, I guess I can take a stab at this. So for younger, Atfal and Nasrat who are still in high school or elementary school, I would say focus on some of the hands-on activities that are available. They may not be at that age. Some may not be at that age where they're able to learn some programming or some more of the advanced concepts. But I know many schools, they have some robotics clubs or some sort of activities where they can build stuff with their hands, basic stuff, so that they can at least get the enjoyment and get the feel of how, what this does. Maybe I put these two things together, I turn this on and the light comes on and it's going to go this way. Or maybe I need to write a little bit. If they're older kids, they can have to write some stuff that okay, go straight, turn left, turn right, and then the robot does what it needs to do. So I think schools have some schools have some of these opportunities available. Outside of school, I definitely recommend during summer breaks or even during as hobbies for students, the parents should have buy them some sort of educational activities or those things that they can do and make it themselves at home. Raspberry Pis or some sort of microcontrollers are really nice for kids at that age. Okay, they can get this whole kit. It comes with breadboards, it comes with these lights, LEDs, and other number pads that they can program themselves and teach themselves how to do that stuff. And that's a very good introduction into that field. Kids who get older in high school and then starting into university, I see there's a lot of questions about, I'm in this field or I'm in this field. How can I come over into data science or AI ML? So that was kind of already covered, but again, even if you don't have a computer science background or some sort of technical background, it is still possible to get into that thing. You're just going to have to work a little bit harder, because I think the first thing you need to do is you do need to know some programming, right? There's a debate whether Python or R is the best language for a data science or whatnot. Python has a bigger community, so let's just start with Python maybe, learn the basics of how to code, right? And then the math is important, because I've used many of these mathematical, higher level calculus to solve, Faraz Bhai was mentioning that maybe someday in the future where we'll have to look at the forklift and all that stuff. That's an actual problem I worked on in my last company, that these miners, they go underground and they're mining for potash and they're driving those huge machines into the wall of the earth. And sometimes the chain breaks off. So we need to use that data to see who's driving that, it's like that, what's causing it to break, and work backwards from the problem to see how we can do that. So the math and the logic and everything they've mentioned is really important, that you need to have those connections in your brain from university and high school made. So anything that can get your brain running in that way of making those connections of logic, puzzles, and yeah.
I think there in high school, please correct me if I'm wrong, there's like STEM activities that you can take part of early on. I don't know much about it.
I honestly, I didn't take any things, because in Saskatoon there wasn't much offered. So that's one way of saying it. But if there are stuff offered, it's definitely a recommendation. It'll get you ahead of where you need to be. As I mentioned, I didn't even learn programming until I was in second year, right? And I was still able to make it. If if you're still in that area where you're still in school, the chances of you making it in this field are very, very high. Still, after you're done school, it kind of gets harder because you have other commitments, you have other responsibilities. So, yeah, that's.
We have a participant who's asking, what if someone's not good in math? Should they totally not go into this field, or is there any future for them?
I'm going to give my opinion, but I'll also let the other panelists answer. there are, nowadays there's lots of these people who say that you can do this without learning, going to university, and you don't need to know all these maths and whatnot. It's true, you can do it. You can, as Guideby said, you can just learn how to like import the libraries and make something and copy and paste codes and whatnot. But the actual people who are valuable are the ones who can actually solve problems. And you have to apply these, linear algebra, because when you get into these machine learning models, there's these tensors are vectors essentially, and there's vector calculus and linear algebra and gradient descent. These are all applications of math. There's one problem I was working on for that exact same, the machines, where we had to find out why it was breaking, and I have to use my calculus where we had to take the third derivative, and the velocity turned into acceleration, turned into jerk. And this application we found was using rockets for how NASA finds out how equipment breaks, right? So you go from one place to another and find these incredible things that happen. So you need to know math. It's not, if you don't know math, you can still make it, but again, how good are you going to be at solving problems that are outside your comfort zone? That's the bottom line.
No, I totally agree. One of the problems that you will face if you don't like math and if you still push yourself into this field is that going in Canadian winter without a winter jacket, you can actually walk some footsteps, and after that, it will be exceedingly annoying because expectations from you would be very technical, and you will constantly be telling your manager or your employer that I'm not that technical, and it's going to cause more and more frustrations. So, and not everything is for everyone, right? Some people are very, very good cooks, make a lot of money because they have this gift in them, and they don't need to know math. So one of the good advice that I got from my early time is that do not pick a field because of its financial implication, but don't be senseless. But I mean, pick it that's something that resonates with you. Sometimes it said that follow your passion. That is also not completely okay, because your passion can lead to totally unknown places. You need to really assess yourself, what you're good at, and make that your passion. So in a nutshell, if you feel that you're not interested or good at math, I would totally agree with Moiz and really highly recommend not to go in this field. You can be a very good lawyer, you can be a very good anything else, a doctor or something, right? So, and those are very good fields. Like those are very good. I mean, not to undermine anything, but this seminar is about AI ML, and it's very shiny, right? So everyone looks at it, but behind that shiny thing, there are all many other very valuable professions that may be well suited for you.
Absolutely, I think I also agree with this point that it's not the only field. And just to push yourself will make things harder.
Jazakallah, everyone. I think we are running towards the end of the program. I have a few more questions, but for the questions that haven't been answered, there are some questions that are asking for personal guidance on what they should do. My recommendation would be that to please email us those questions to the I forget the email address, but it's courier@talim.ca. Inshallah, we'll have our esteemed panelists answer those questions on one-on-one basis. I think it's a good question that one of the participants asked is, what are some ethical considerations that arise when developing and deploying artificial intelligence systems, such as the ones that we have discussed today?
Tarsa?
I was thinking Musabbai was quiet for such a long time.
No, that's not good. But what I'll add is, I think ethical considerations are high these days. Bias is very important to consider, right? When you're designing systems, it should not be prejudicial and biased against any community, color, income, demographics, background, credit history, etc. So that's a big thing, right? Obviously, that's at the top. There's no clear answer. There's not crystallized, well-defined pathways. Lawyers are working, technology companies are working, computer scientists are working, academia is working on it. It's a multidisciplinary effort, and government is involved as well, or has some stake into it. But ethically speaking, if automation is going to run our society or some level of it, it will impact our life from credit processing to mortgage to insurance to claims, et cetera, et cetera. And there's data, there's privacy, right? And decision-making has to be right on. So far, the results have been somewhat mixed, right? Sometimes the system will completely erratically misbehave, give a very bad color to the argument. Maybe they track the bias that historically we have had in the system. So that needs to be cleaned up, I think, first and foremost.
And I just want to further what Masud Bhai just mentioned. As an Ahmadi, we all know that this DPO office, Data Protection Officer office in Jamaat, recently established. In fact, we all understand from the presentation as well and from the science itself, is that it is a data-driven kind of field. It is driven by the data. So data protection is the first principle, and which we already know that there is huge emphasis across the globe. There are laws in Europe, there are laws that are established in America, North America on data privacy policies, and in Jamaat as well. It is very important that there are disclaimers that are telling you what it will be used for and how long it will be retained. So these policies are there. As far as if we go to the other side, that how these algorithms will perform, again, I will come back to this this part, that they are driven by data. So data protection is already in place now, and it is getting further as we see new and new fields coming into play. For instance, ChatGPT, we had some examples of it. Now we know that it has learned from the data, which is public, which is coming from authentic sources. Sometimes there are sources which are biased. So communities work on this part, that as much as authentic sources are taught, the responses will be authentic.
Certainly. I think thinking about where all of this technology is going makes some of us, in general, makes us feel uncomfortable. And one good way of thinking about I was thinking that, the thought of robots replacing humans is scary overall. But the truth is that the relationship of the body and the soul that makes us human, we live in a very stressful environment where we sometimes feel that we don't have the capacity to do everything. But in replacing doing mundane jobs as humans with robots actually allows us to connect with God Almighty, give us more time. Time is freedom in one sense. In fact, the new money model is that time is money. So I think that overall gives us freedom. And that is a positive aspect of looking at where all of this technology going. I'm going to take one more question, which is a burning question that everyone has, and it was a topic of discussion today. And maybe I'll ask Secretary Talim, because he's been using ChatGPT recently quite a bit. What are the implications? Like someone says that ChatGPT is cheating. What would you say to them, and what is your guidance for a younger generation who sees this as a tool, or in high school where they see this as a tool or writing their essay that they don't have to write themselves?
So you're asking me, Jazakallah, Nouman Bhai. It's a very interesting question. So so I work in the research, and it's a big range, and I've been keeping an eye on it. The thing is, it's showing us a new era of where information has been gathered and knowledge has been created. Or at least it mimics knowledge or mimics some kind of intelligence. And actually what we should actually, and we cannot, genie is out of the bottle, we can't put it back. So we have to embrace it and we have to use it wisely. And how can we, and the thing is, we have to see the possibilities. As Allah Ta'ala says in the Holy Quran, that surely there is ease after hardship. And again in age, surely there is ease after hardship. So this is a process that Allah Ta'ala always rewards us. Things become difficult. So the drudgery of tasks, doing mundane tasks, and the amount of information that we have to now go through to find something useful was becoming more and more difficult. And now suddenly we have this tool which actually can give us the exact knowledge that we need. So it removes, and it lowers barriers. For example, somebody who is not good at English and somebody is good at English. One can write a very good essay or write a very good letter of recommendation or very good application to a job, another cannot. However, now the level playing field is the same now, because both can now put it in ChatGPT, and this will give you a very good, competent English application. Now, where will the difference come? The people will now focus on actual skills, and skills will be critical reasoning, critical thinking, human creativity, problem solving. These will be more valued, and other things will be given off to AI. So if you want to write a report, the draft will be AI. You can focus on actual work. For example, in our research, we as scientists, we're already thinking that the papers will be written by AI, the proposals, the grant proposal will be written by AI, the editorial decision will be taken by AI. We will focus on actual creativity and ideas and experiments, and the AI will do the rest of the work. That's the future that is coming. We cannot stop it. It will affect every field. It will affect law. It will affect human resources administration. It will affect any field you see. It will affect it. We have to embrace it, and we have to understand. Either you are in it. For example, this program, this session is for people how to get into this field. However, everybody else will be a user also. So that's also for them, that you have to be a good user, and you have to then improve your skills of how to use this new tool for your career and for your Jamaat and for benefiting the society and your nation. So I think the future is very bright. The future is very exciting. Rather than saying it's for example, I was reading a paper. People are saying it's like a cheating tool. It's actually, if you use it, abuse it, yes. However, the whole exercise of teaching will change. The whole methodology of teaching will change, because now, remember when Google came and Wikipedia was there, students were forbidden to actually use Google or use Wikipedia. They had to go to the library. But now it's normal. This will become normal. We can't actually stop it. We have to now tell our kids, okay, this is something you can use, and then we have other parameters to actually figure out which kid is doing better than other. So I think the future is very bright, and I think we should all look at it that this is something new that Allah has provided for us, and it will inshallah benefit the Jamaat, it will benefit the society, and inshallah benefit humanity as a whole also, inshallah.
Inshallah, and Jazakallah Tasib Bhai for sharing that. I totally agree. These are exciting times where, with the advancements in technology, we see if we take it with responsibility, that we can make positive outcomes not only for ourselves, but humanity and society overall. And that is the hope. And I hope that through this session we have been able to answer some of your questions, educate you on what the field is, and ignite or raise curiosity about how you can go about achieving or becoming part of this. Inshallah, we will all be part of it, as Tasib Bhai has said. In fact, I can already think of ways that this could be implemented in medicine, but inshallah, with time, we will be. We are coming towards the end of the program. Jazakallah to all the participants who have joined us. We do appreciate your time. Jazakallah to all the panelists for being here today. We haven't been able to answer all of the questions. We were overwhelmed with all the questions that came in. My request is that to please email us those questions. I've already put it in the chat to the email address, and inshallah we'll have our panelists answer your question on a one-on-one basis. And our purpose of this event is to basically start the conversation and have you guys come up or be interested in this field, so we can guide you, or our panelists can guide you. And hopefully, if we can embrace this early, as Tasib Bhai said, maybe the next generation of younger from Khuddam or Lajna can be the leaders of this field, inshallah. As stated, we come every month, inshallah, with these programs. The next program is on March 16th, 2023. At 8 p.m. inshallah, we'll get together to discuss pathway to law. So anyone who's interested, if they can share this with their family and friends, they can register on taaleem.ca/career webinar. We will end this program with this silent prayers. I now request our National Secretary Taaleem Saab, Dr. Tasif Khan Saab, to please lead us in silent prayers.
Please join me in silent prayer. Ameen.
Jazakallah, everyone.
Jazakallah.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah.